Christmas is supposed to be about giving, not demanding. When my 27-year-old sister broke the rules, opened her $600 gift weeks early, and then had the audacity to demand a receipt because she hated the color, I knew I had to teach her a lesson. Instead of upgrading her gift, I returned it and used the money to make a massive donation to charity in her name. The look on her face Christmas morning was priceless. Was I too harsh, or did she get exactly what she deserved? I never thought trying to do something nice would blow up in my face so hard, but here we are. You know how every family has that one person who just thinks the world revolves around them? Like, the sun rises just to light up their face and sets because they are tired. In my family, that person is my sister. Let's call her Ashley. Ashley is 27 years old. That is way too old to be acting like a brat, but she has totally mastered the art of it. I am 23, and sometimes I feel like I am the older brother because she acts like she is 12. I have a job, I pay my bills, and I try to act like a normal human being. Ashley? Well, Ashley is different. She expects everything to be handed to her on a silver platter, and if the platter has a smudge on it, she screams. This whole mess started around Christmas. I love Christmas. I really do. I like the lights, the food, and just hanging out with the family. Usually we do a big dinner at my parents' house. Mom goes crazy with the decorations, and Dad just sits in his chair trying to stay out of the way until it is time to carve the turkey. It is usually a good time, except for the stress of buying gifts. I worked really hard this year. I saved up a bunch of money because I wanted to get everyone something actually cool, not just socks or a gift card to a coffee shop. I wanted to be the guy who won Christmas, you know? I wanted to see their faces light up. So I started thinking about what Ashley would want. She had been complaining for months about her old tablet. She said it was slow, the screen was cracked, and it couldn't play the games she liked. Every time I saw her, she was tapping aggressively on the screen, sighing loud enough for the neighbors to hear, and saying, "Ugh, this piece of junk is garbage." I thought, okay, I can fix this. I decided to go all out. I went to the electronics store and looked at the iPads. They are not cheap, like really not cheap. But I had the cash, and I thought doing something nice for her might actually make her be nice to me for a change. It was a long shot, but I was willing to take the risk. I spent a long time in the store. I talked to the guy in the blue shirt for like 20 minutes. I asked him about the storage space, the screen quality, and the speed. I settled on an iPad Air. It was sleek, it was fast, and it cost me a massive chunk of my paycheck. I bought the silver one because it looked clean and classic. I felt really proud of myself walking out of that store with the white bag. I felt like a serious adult making a serious purchase. I took it to my parents' house a few weeks before Christmas. Mom has this rule that we put gifts under the tree as soon as we get them so the living room looks full and festive. I went into the back room and grabbed the wrapping paper. It was the shiny red kind with little gold stars on it. I am not great at wrapping, but I tried my best. I used way too much tape, but the corners were mostly sharp. I wrote to Ashley from Op on a little tag and stuck it right on top. Then I slid it under the tree, right in the front. It was a decent-sized box, heavy enough to feel expensive but not huge. I knew she would know it was something good. I left my parents' house feeling pretty good about myself. I imagined her opening it on Christmas morning and actually saying thank you without rolling her eyes. A few days went by. I was just living my life, going to work, and getting ready for the holidays. Then my phone rang. I looked at the screen and saw Ashley's face. I didn't think much of it. Maybe she wanted to ask if I was bringing the soda for the party or something. I answered, expecting a normal conversation. "Hello," I said. "Why did you get me the silver one?" There was no hello, no how are you. Just her voice, high-pitched and annoyed. I was confused. I was sitting on my couch, eating a sandwich, and my brain couldn't catch up. "What?" I asked. "What are you talking about?" "The iPad," she practically shouted. I opened it. "Why is it silver? You know I wanted the space gray one. Silver looks so cheap." I froze. The sandwich dropped onto my plate. I stared at the wall, trying to process what she just said. It was December 10th. Christmas was 2 weeks away. "Wait," I said, my voice getting a little tighter. "You opened it. You opened your Christmas present." "Well, yeah," she said, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "I was at Mom and Dad's and I saw the box. I knew it was from you and I shook it and I knew it was a tablet, so I just opened it to check." "To check," I repeated. "Check what?" To check if it was the right one, she huffed. And it's not. I hate silver. It shows scratches way too easily. And looking at the box, this is only the 64 GB one. That is barely enough space for my photos. I need the 256 GB one. I felt the anger starting to bubble up in my chest. It wasn't just annoyance, it was full-on rage. I had spent hundreds of dollars on her. I had wrapped it. I had waited for the big moment. And she just ripped it open on a random Tuesday and called me to complain. Ashley, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. That was a gift for Christmas. You aren't supposed to open it yet. Whatever, she said dismissively. It doesn't matter when I open it. What matters is that it's the wrong one. Do you have the receipt? The receipt. Yes, the receipt. I need to take it back and exchange it. I looked it up online, and the one I actually want is like $100 more, but I can just pay the difference if I have to. But I need the receipt to get the store credit. I closed my eyes and rubbed my forehead. The audacity was unbelievable. She wasn't even saying thank you. She was treating me like customer service. You want me to give you the receipt so you can return the gift I bought you, which you opened 2 weeks early, because you don't like the color? I summarized, hoping she would hear how crazy she sounded. Yes, she groaned. God, why are you making this such a big deal? Just text me a picture of the receipt or bring it over. I want to go to the store today before they sell out of the gray ones. I stood up. I couldn't sit down anymore. I started pacing around my small living room. No, I said. There was a silence on the other end. Excuse me. No, I said again, louder this time. I am not giving you the receipt. You were incredibly rude to open it early. That is not how gifts work. You don't just hunt through the tree and rip things open. Mom didn't care, she lied. I knew she was lying because Mom loves the tradition of Christmas morning. Mom would have a heart attack if she knew the tree looked messy. Stop being so dramatic. It's just an iPad. I just want the right one. It is not just an iPad, I snapped. It's the principle. You are being totally ungrateful. Ungrateful? She laughed, a mean, sharp sound. I'm being practical. Why should I keep a version I don't like? That's a waste of your money. If you give me the receipt, I can get exactly what I want. You should be happy I'm trying to fix your mistake. My mistake? She called my generous gift a mistake. Here is what is going to happen, I said, my voice shaking a little. You are going to wrap that box back up. You are going to put it back under the tree. And on Christmas morning, you are going to open it and act surprised. If you do that, maybe I will give you the receipt then. That is stupid, she argued. I already opened the paper. It's ripped. I can't wrap it again. Then figure it out, I yelled. Buy new paper, I don't care, just put it back. No, she said stubbornly. I have it out now. I am already setting it up. I just need the receipt in case it breaks or if I want to upgrade it later. Just send it to me. I am not sending you anything. Fine, she shouted. I'll just ask Mom for it. I bet she knows where you put it. Don't you dare drag Mom into this, I warned, but she had already hung up. I stared at my phone. My blood was boiling. I felt like throwing the phone across the room. How could someone be so entitled? I worked overtime for that money. I skipped buying lunch for weeks to save up. And she treated it like I had handed her a piece of trash. I grabbed my keys. I knew I couldn't just sit there. If she was at my parents' house, I needed to go there. I needed to see this for myself. I needed to see the carnage under the Christmas tree. The drive over to my parents' house was a blur. I was gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I kept replaying the conversation in my head. Why is it silver? Who says that? Who gets a brand new, expensive tablet and complains about the color immediately? I pulled into the driveway. My parents' house looked peaceful. There were lights on the bushes and a wreath on the door. It looked like a happy Christmas card. I knew it was a lie. Inside, there was a monster with a silver iPad. I unlocked the front door and walked in. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine, which usually made me happy, but today it just annoyed me. Mom, Dad, I called out. In the kitchen, Mom yelled back. I walked past the living room. I looked at the tree. Sure enough, there was a gaping hole in the pile of presents. The shiny red paper with the gold stars was wadded up in a ball on the floor. It looked like trash. The white box was gone. I walked into the kitchen. Mom was stirring something on the stove, and Dad was reading the newspaper at the table. Ashley was sitting at the table across from him, and there it was. The iPad. It was propped up against the sugar bowl. She was tapping away on it, looking bored. "Hey," I said, standing in the doorway. Ashley looked up. She didn't look guilty. She looked annoyed that I was there. "Did you bring the receipt?" she asked instantly. Mom turned around. She looked confused. "Receipt? What's going on?" "Op bought me the wrong iPad," Ashley said, pointing a finger at me, "and he won't let me exchange it." "I didn't buy the wrong one," I said, walking further into the room. "I bought you a gift, a very nice gift, and you opened it 2 weeks early without asking anyone." Mom looked at Ashley, then at the iPad. "Wait, you opened his gift? I thought you were just setting up your old one." "No, Mom," I said. "She went under the tree, found my gift, unwrapped it, and now she is demanding the receipt because she doesn't like the color." Dad put down his paper. He looked over his reading glasses at Ashley. "You opened a Christmas present? It's not even mid-December." "It's not a big deal," Ashley threw her hands up. "I knew what it was. Why wait? And look at it, Dad. It's silver. You know I have the gray phone and the gray laptop. It doesn't match. It looks weird." "It looks like an iPad," Dad said flatly. "It's about the aesthetic," Ashley insisted. She turned to me. "Just give me the receipt. I want to go to the mall. If we go now, we can beat the traffic." I looked at her face. She really believed she was right. She really thought I was the one being difficult. Something in my brain snapped. I wasn't going to let her win this one. I wasn't going to let her bully me into fixing a problem she created. "I told you on the phone," I said calmly. "I am not giving you the receipt." "But I want to return it," she whined. "You can't return it," I said. "Why not?" "Because it's not yours anymore." The room went quiet. The only sound was the bubbling of whatever Mom was cooking. "What do you mean?" Ashley asked, her eyes narrowing. "I mean," I said, stepping closer to the table, "if you don't like the gift, I will take it back. I will return it, and I will keep the money." Ashley laughed again. "You can't do that. I already opened it. It's mine now." "No," I said. "It was a Christmas gift. Christmas is on the 25th. Until then, it's just a box I put in this house. You stole it from under the tree." "I didn't steal it. My name was on it." "Technically," Dad chimed in, "he hasn't given it to you yet. Customarily, the transfer of property happens on the holiday." Dad is a lawyer, so he loves talking like that. I wanted to high-five him. Ashley's face turned red. She grabbed the iPad and held it to her chest like a shield. "You are not taking it. I already put my email in and downloaded my apps." "Log out," I said. "Reset it, put it back in the box." "No," she screamed. "You are being such a jerk. Mom, tell him to stop." Mom looked torn. She hates conflict. She just wants everyone to be happy and eat cookies. "Op," she said softly. "Maybe just let her keep it. It is open already. It seems like a lot of trouble to take it back." "No, Mom," I said firmly. "She does this every time. She is never happy with anything. I spent hundreds of dollars. She hasn't said thank you once. All she has done is complain about the color and the memory. She doesn't deserve it." I looked straight at Ashley. "Give it to me." "Make me," she sneered. I didn't want to physically fight my sister. That would be pathetic, but I knew I had the upper hand. "Okay," I said. "Keep it, but I still have the receipt, and without that receipt, you can't exchange it. You can't get the gray one, you can't get the bigger storage. You are stuck with the silver, 64-gigabyte iPad that you hate so much. Forever." Ashley's eyes went wide. She realized I was serious. She looked down at the silver device in her arms with disgust. It was like she was holding a dead fish. "You wouldn't," she whispered. "Try me," I said. She sat there for a minute, her brain working hard. She knew she was stuck. If she kept it, she had the wrong one. If she wanted the right one, she needed me. "Fine," she huffed. She slammed the iPad onto the table. "Take it. It's trash anyway. If you aren't going to get me what I actually want, then don't get me anything." She stood up and stormed out of the kitchen. We heard her bedroom door slam upstairs. I looked at the iPad on the table. The screen was still on, showing her colorful background. "Well," Dad said, picking up his paper again, "that went well." I reached out and picked up the tablet. It felt cold in my hands. I felt a mix of victory and sadness. I had won the argument, but my big Christmas surprise was ruined. "I'm sorry, Op," Mom said, wiping her hands on a towel. She has been in a mood all week. That was very generous of you to buy it. It's okay, Mom, I said. I'll handle it. I looked at the device. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I wasn't just going to return it and keep the money. That was too boring. I needed to teach her a lesson. I needed to make sure she remembered this Christmas forever. I sat down at the table and started tapping on the screen. What are you doing? Mom asked. I'm resetting it, I said. I'm wiping her data off, and then I'm going to the store. To exchange it for the gray one, Mom asked hopefully. I looked up and smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Not exactly. I walked out of my parents' house with the iPad tucked under my arm like a football. I didn't even say goodbye to Ashley. I just nodded at my parents and left. My heart was pounding, but not because I was nervous. I was running on pure adrenaline. I felt like a spy on a mission, except my mission was to teach my sister that the world didn't revolve around her specific color preferences. I got back in my car and tossed the white box onto the passenger seat. It slid around a bit as I backed out of the driveway. I looked at the clock. It was late afternoon. The mall would be a nightmare, but I didn't care. I had to do this now before I lost my nerve or before Mom called me begging to keep the peace. The drive to the electronics store felt different than the drive over. Before, I was angry. Now, I was focused. I parked way in the back because the lot was full of frantic holiday shoppers. I grabbed the box and marched inside. The store was packed. There were people everywhere looking at TVs and headphones. The line for the returns desk was long, winding through the aisles of vacuum cleaners. I stood there for 30 minutes, just holding the box, watching people argue with cashiers about warranties. Finally, it was my turn. I walked up to the counter. The lady behind the register looked exhausted. Her name tag said Brenda. She looked like she had been yelled at about 12 times already that day. Return, she asked, not even looking up. Yeah, I said. I put the box on the counter. I bought this a couple of weeks ago. It has been opened, but everything is in there. She opened the box and inspected it. She checked the screen for scratches. She checked the charger. She typed some stuff into her computer. There is a restocking fee for open items, she said. 15%, is that okay? Usually, losing 15% of my money would make me cringe. That was like $50 or something. But today, I didn't care. It was a small price to pay for justice. That's fine, I said. Just put the rest back on my card. She swiped my card, printed a receipt, and handed it to me. I walked out of the store empty-handed. I felt lighter. The burden of the silver iPad was gone, but I still had a problem. It was Christmas. I couldn't just show up with nothing. That would make me look like the bad guy. I needed a new plan. I needed a gift that sent a message. I sat in my car and thought about what Ashley had said. She said the silver one was a waste. She said she wanted the expensive one. She acted like getting a $600 gift was an insult. Then I thought about the money I just got back. It was sitting in my bank account again. It was money I had already mentally spent. It wasn't my money anymore, it was Christmas money. I started the car and drove to the other side of the shopping center. I pulled up to a big toy store. You know, the kind with the giraffe mascot. I hadn't been in there in years. I grabbed a shopping cart, a big one. I started walking down the aisles. I saw action figures, dolls, board games, and art sets. I saw things that cost $10 and things that cost $50. I thought about kids who wouldn't get anything this year. Kids whose parents couldn't afford a single present, let alone an iPad. I went crazy. I grabbed a bunch of Lego sets. I grabbed 3 Barbie dolls. I grabbed a remote-controlled car. I grabbed a huge box of crayons and sketch pads. I grabbed a soccer ball. I filled the cart until things were falling out the sides. I wasn't looking at prices. I was just grabbing fun stuff. I rolled the overflowing cart up to the checkout. The cashier's eyes went wide. Wow, he said, big family. Nope, I said, smiling, just a change of plans. The total came out to almost exactly what I had spent on the iPad, maybe a little less, but close enough. I paid for it and loaded my trunk. It was full of colorful boxes. I drove to the local fire station. I knew they did that Toys for Tots thing where they collect gifts for needy families. I walked into the lobby. A fireman was sitting at the desk. Can I help you? He asked. Yeah, I said. I have a donation. I spent the next 10 minutes hauling bags of toys into the station. The fireman looked shocked. He shook my hand and thanked me like 5 times. He gave me a receipt for the donation. It was just a small piece of paper, but it felt way more valuable than the iPad receipt ever did. I went home and collapsed on my couch. I was tired, but I felt amazing. I had turned a negative into a positive, but the best part was yet to come. I still had to wrap Ashley's gift. I found a nice Christmas card in my drawer. It had a picture of a snowman on the front. Inside, I wrote a message. I took my time with it. I wanted the wording to be perfect. I folded the donation receipt and tucked it inside the card. Then, I found a small box about the size of a jewelry box. I put the envelope in the box and wrapped it in the same shiny red paper with the gold stars. The same paper I had used for the iPad. Christmas morning arrived. I woke up early. I put on my ugly Christmas sweater and drove over to my parents' house. The driveway was full. My aunt and uncle were there, too. This was going to be a public execution. I walked inside with my little box. The house was loud. Christmas music was playing. The smell of bacon and coffee filled the air. Everyone was in a good mood. Even Ashley seemed okay. She was wearing silk pajamas and sipping coffee. When she saw me, she smirked. "Merry Christmas," I said to the room. "Merry Christmas," everyone shouted back. I walked over to the tree and placed the small red box right in the front. Ashley watched me do it. Her eyes locked onto the box. I could see the gears turning in her head. She saw the small box. She probably thought it was a gift card. Or maybe she thought I had caved and bought her some expensive jewelry since I messed up the iPad. Or maybe she thought it was a note telling her where the new space gray iPad was hidden. She looked smug. She thought she had won. We ate breakfast. I ate my eggs slowly. I was savoring the moment. Ashley kept glancing at the tree. She was impatient. Finally, Dad announced it was time for presents. We gathered in the living room. We took turns opening gifts. I got a nice sweater from Mom and a tool set from Dad. I acted super happy. "Wow, thanks. This is exactly what I wanted," I said, making sure to emphasize how grateful I was. Ashley rolled her eyes at my enthusiasm. Finally, there was only one gift left, the small red box with the gold stars. "That one is for Ashley," I said, pointing to it. "From me." Ashley leaned forward and grabbed it. She shook it. It didn't rattle. She looked at me with a weird smile. "Small box," she said. "Did you decide to make up for the other day?" "Open it and see," I said. The room went quiet. My parents were watching closely. They knew about the fight, but they didn't know what I had done. They probably hoped I had just bought a gift card to the Apple Store to shut her up. Ashley ripped the paper off. She opened the box and pulled out the envelope. She frowned a little. She was definitely expecting plastic or metal, not paper. She tore the envelope open and pulled out the card. "A card," she said, sounding disappointed already. "Is there money in it?" "Read it," I said. She opened the card. A small piece of paper fell out, the receipt from the fire station. She ignored it and read the handwritten message inside the card. She read it silently first. Her face went pale, then her face went red. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "What does it say?" my aunt asked. "Read it out loud." Ashley glared at me. If looks could kill, I would have been dead right there on the rug. She threw the card on the floor. "I can't believe you," she screamed. Mom picked up the card. "What is it?" Mom adjusted her glasses and read the note out loud to the whole family. "Dear Ashley, since the silver iPad wasn't good enough for you and you wanted to return it, I saved you the trouble. I returned it for you. I took the refund money and bought toys for the local children's charity. I bought dolls, trucks, and games for kids who will actually appreciate them. This donation has been made in your name. Merry Christmas." The silence in the room was deafening. You could hear a pin drop. My uncle started chuckling softly in the corner. Dad looked at me, then at the card, and a slow smile spread across his face. He nodded at me, a nod of respect. Ashley stood up. She was shaking. "You gave my iPad to charity?" she screeched. "No," I corrected her. "I gave my money to charity. The iPad wasn't yours yet. Remember, we talked about this." "But that was my money," she yelled. "That was $600. You can't just give away my present to random kids." "I can," I said calmly. "And I did. You said you didn't want the silver one. You said it was trash, so I got rid of the trash." I wanted the gray one, she shouted, stomping her foot like a toddler. I wanted you to exchange it, not give it away. Well, I said, leaning back in my chair. I figured since you are so picky, it would be better to give the joy to someone else. Think about all the happy kids, Ashley. You did a good thing today. I didn't do anything, she screamed. You stole my Christmas. Ashley, stop it, Dad said, his voice stern. Op did a very noble thing. You were extremely rude about the gift he bought you. You opened it early, you complained, and you tried to boss him around. This is a lesson. A lesson, she spat. It's a ripoff, I have nothing, he got me nothing. You got the gift of giving, I said. I couldn't help it. It was too perfect. Ashley looked around the room. She was looking for allies. She looked at Mom. Mom looked sad, but she didn't defend her. She looked at my aunt and uncle. My uncle was hiding his laugh behind a napkin. My aunt was looking at her fingernails. Ashley realized she was alone. She let out a frustration noise that sounded like a tea kettle boiling over. I hate you, she yelled at me. Then she turned and ran out of the room. We heard her running up the stairs, and then slam. Her bedroom door shook the whole house. We sat there for a second. Well, my uncle said, breaking the tension. That's a nice thing you did for the kids, Op. Thanks, I said. I think they will like the Legos. Mom sighed. She looked at the empty box on the floor. I suppose she did bring this on herself. She absolutely did, Dad said. He reached over and patted my shoulder. Good for you, son. She needs to learn that she can't treat people like that. The rest of Christmas was actually pretty peaceful. Ashley refused to come down for dinner. Mom tried to take a plate up to her, but the door was locked. We ate turkey and laughed and watched movies. It was one of the most relaxing Christmases I can remember because the source of all the drama was hiding in her room. Later that night, as I was leaving, Mom walked me to the door. You know, she whispered, I was mad at first when I realized what you did, but I think you were right. She has been getting worse lately. Maybe this will wake her up. I hope so, Mom, I said. I really hope so. I drove home feeling satisfied. I didn't feel guilty at all. I pictured some kid opening that remote-controlled car and freaking out with joy, and it made me smile. Of course, the drama wasn't totally over. Ashley sent me a text message at 3:00 a.m. It was a long wall of text calling me every name in the book. She said I was jealous of her, that I was cheap, and that I ruined the holidays. She demanded I send her the money so she could buy the iPad herself. I didn't reply. I just sent her a screenshot of the confirmation email from the charity. I haven't spoken to her since. It has been a few weeks now. Mom says Ashley is still fuming and refuses to come to family dinners if I am going to be there. Honestly, that sounds like a second present to me.